Okay. So thank you so much for allowing me to interview you, Sarah Wilson.
Yeah, this will be fun.
So,
Very honored to be one of the people interviewed for the inaugural EnigMarch interviews.
so, basically, if the people don't know, who are you?
My name is Sarah Willson. I'm a writer and editor, and in my free time, I enjoy writing text games and puzzles. Um, I've written some puzzles for certain puzzle hunts, the Cryptex Hunt, a couple other things, but mostly I do a lot of puzzles. I like to just write puzzles, um, and also I am the founder of EnigMarch.
Nice.
Just a
All right.
side note there at the end.
Yep. So yeah, this will be a slightly different question. Since you are the founder and starter of EnigMarch, what made you want to start EnigMarch? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. It was actually very exciting. I every year I think I want to make a goal of getting better at designing puzzles. Like for the past few years, I write games that usually don't have too many puzzles in them because I was nervous about, making good puzzles. So I thought, okay, this year I'm going to actually do it. I'm going to put on my list of things to do this year. This was last year, but I'm going to do a puzzle every day for a month, and that way it'll be like a NaNoWriMo style, like fast paced, just a like immersion into getting better at designing puzzles. And I just happened to ask on the Consume This Media Discord, has anyone heard of this? Because I thought maybe this would exist already. There's things like Inktober and other monthly or daily challenges like that. And I guess other people were into the idea too. So a few other people, you and a couple others, we all started brainstorming about this idea and sort of put it together in like less than 2 months. And that's how it all began in 2022.
Yes, I do remember that. And it was quite awesome how fast everything came together.
Yeah.
And it's great that you are learning and growing with the process. The idea was great. And then taking feedback from the participants, which
Yeah.
I was surprised to see how many people actually jumped on and were like, wait, is this happening again next year? So
Yeah, totally.
it's great to see that. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It's been amazing to see just how many people participated for the whole month last year, or even just part of the month together. I did a little math afterwards, and we had over 1,000 puzzles created with the EnigMarch hashtag. So
Wow.
we're in various Discord channels that I saw. So it's really cool to see. This apparently resonates with other people too, and seeing that some people are excited to do it again this year is very exciting.
Yes. So, about you, what is your favorite kind of puzzle?
I'm a logic puzzle person. I started doing logic puzzles when I was a kid. I would buy the logic puzzle magazines, or my parents would buy me them,
Yeah.
and I would just whip through them. I did them like a couple hours a day for a long time. I think that's just how my brain works, just wanting to like logically solve things. So that's what I always gravitate towards. Uh, I mean, I like a lot of different kinds, but I was like in an escape room or something, I'm always running towards the logic puzzles.
Yeah, deduction. A lot of people do
Yeah.
find that like it's everything's there. The information's there. You just have to piece it together.
Yes. It
That's
can be
cool.
very elegant.
Yes. Now on the other side, what is your least favorite kind of puzzle?
Oh, least favorite kind of puzzle. Mm, I think I like almost every kind of puzzle. I'm trying to think back to like escape rooms. Uh, I think this is really escape room specific, but there's a lot of times when there's like a dexterity based puzzle. Sometimes if it's like, yeah, those are the ones that I have trouble with. I think it's like the opposite of a logic puzzle. But yeah, I like pretty much everything. I like word puzzles a lot, crosswords and things like that. Yeah, can't think of anything I don't like specifically.
Yeah. That's good though that you like a lot of the different puzzles, but I do see what you mean by, I guess, dexterity puzzles, because when I was working from home, we did a pandemic virtual escape room with one of my
Mm.
jobs that I was at. And like two teams were like racing through the room, uh the same kind of room. And it was like a guy
Mm.
with a GoPro on in each room. So there was like a
Uh,
cool bottle puzzle where you had to put a handkerchief in there and get the key out,
oh
but
wow.
he just could not do it.
Oh
So
no.
it was like we lost because he wasn't able to do that,
Oh
but
man,
the other one was.
that's not even your fault. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing. Yeah. And if somebody else is doing it, that's even harder. But yes, those
exactly.
are very tricky depending on the day, the person, the atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah. When did you start puzzle making?
Since I was really into puzzles as a kid, I came around to trying to make my own pretty early when I think I actually just found a logic puzzle that I made when I was a kid. I think I was probably 10 or 11.
Oh.
And I made photocopies of it apparently. I think I remember like passing it out at school. So I tried to solve it again. I just found it a couple months ago. It's not it's not solvable. There's
Oh
it's broken,
no.
but it's very cute. And I tried really hard clearly to make a good one. It's funny to see like a kid version. It's a circus themed logic
Oh,
puzzle. But yeah, I think as a kid it was very frustrating to try to make them work because solving is different than creating your own when you're a kid. But so I think I got frustrated and kind of gave up for a couple decades. And then I don't remember how I got back into it. I just always enjoyed puzzles and I think I started up again like 10 or 12 years ago, just as a hobby.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's good that you got back started into it, because I do know that it can be frustrating. And sometimes when it's frustrating, we decide to leave it alone. But picking it back up,
Yeah.
it seems that you've been doing pretty good.
Yeah, actually, yeah, speaking of that, here's my redemption story. um I I actually some of my favorite puzzles I've ever made are the ones from EnigMarch last year. It's funny
Nice.
how having to do it quickly can kind of unlock. I think that's why I was frustrated as a kid. You can spend as much time as you want trying to make it perfect, but with EnigMarch you can't do that because you only have one day. I mean, you can treat the prompts however you want. You can
Of
take as
course.
long as you want, but that was my original idea was to try to like knock the puzzles loose so you don't have to think too hard about making them perfect. So I made one logic puzzle that I was pretty proud of last year for the prompt suits. So it had to do with a poker game, um, and so suits were the card suits, as well as I think people were wearing different color suits. And I enjoyed making a logic puzzle that also involved poker rules. So you have to like look at the poker rules and figure out which hand everybody had. I was pretty proud of that one. I got some feedback that it wasn't solvable, and then people would be like, "Oh wait, no, I solved it." So I think that means it's the good kind of challenge.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that was indeed a redemption story. I would love
Yeah.
to
I'd
check
like
that
to
one
think so.
out.
Yeah. I can send it or link it maybe with
Yep, sure.
this post.
All right. Um, so where can people see your work?
Well, let's see. I did all the EnigMarch puzzles last. I think this year I'm going to do it on Mastodon. So maybe I'll put um I have a page on itch.io. It's passerine.itch.io, where I put my the games I write, some of which are puzzle games, but mostly they're text adventures and things like that.
Hmm,
But I have the Mastodon link on there too. So if anybody's really curious to see them, that's where they'll be.
nice. Why do you enjoy puzzle making?
I think it's kind of like the next natural step after for me after solving puzzles is to just sort of like dig in and see how they work and try to make my own. It feels very similar to doing a puzzle when you're writing a puzzle. It's kind of like an inside out version of solving a puzzle because you have to sometimes you solve you're creating the rules, or especially if it's like a logic puzzle, you're creating the clues right alongside the person who's solving, and um you're making the path that they will take, so you're kind of like solving it backwards in a way. So it's kind of like solving a puzzle but a little bit more creative. There's like a dash of creativity in there where you can decide, make decisions, creative decisions. And so, yeah, it's the fact that puzzles are fun.
Yeah,
It makes it fun to make them as well.
of course. How do you go about, the puzzle making process? Like, where do you start?
Um, I have a list on my phone of puzzle ideas that I just whenever I think of something, I'll write it down. And that's usually where I go first. Um, because I don't have a great memory like for recall of ideas. So, but when I do see something on that list, I'm like, oh yeah, that could work for this. And sometimes the key for me to coming up with a good idea is to combine two ideas from that list. So yeah, it's just looking at the world through a puzzle lens, which is pretty easy when you do a lot of puzzles. And then don't forget any ideas. Write them all down.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Yes. Writing things down or even just taking a note on your phone is a great thing to do because especially these days, so much stuff is going on and our brains are overloaded. And like once you get that good idea, you're like, I want to write this down so I don't forget.
Yeah. Yeah, and then then you have like this like puzzly place to go. Like you just go to that
Yes.
app and like look at that list and you feel yeah, it's a nice place to
Inspiration.
go. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for new puzzle makers?
Um I guess I think much like people say to new writers, just read a lot. It's similar, I think, for puzzles. If you do a lot of puzzles, you kind of start to think in the puzzle mindset. Um, and like I said, you start to see puzzles around in the world, and it becomes a habit. And then when you're doing puzzles, if you think afterwards or during the solving process, like what is making this so frustrating? Is this a good kind of frustration or is this an annoying kind of frustration? And like after you solved it, what made it so great or what could have made it better? Just thinking about those things, I think helps a lot.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have any tips for seasoned puzzle makers?
Um, I I guess so. I don't think of myself as a seasoned puzzle maker, so I feel
Mm.
like I'm kind of giving advice to people that know more than me. But one thing I would say is for people who do a lot of puzzles and are in that like community sometimes, it can be easy to forget that not everybody does that many puzzles, and some people haven't seen a lot of these tricks before. So if it depending on the audience, making something more accessible can be really welcoming to newer people. Um, depending, of course, depending on what the puzzles are for, but keeping in mind the people who don't know what indexing is or who haven't seen Pigpen Cipher before. Um, that's one thing I would say. Um, and and one thing that I think maybe the most like advanced puzzle lesson I've learned is that the ones that are the most fun to make are not always the most fun to solve. So
Yeah.
sometimes like you can make a puzzle just for you, and maybe the really seasoned solvers and designers will see it and think this is a really cool puzzle. But sometimes it can be frustrating for newer people. So that's I don't know if that's advice, but that's just something I've noticed. Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes simpler can be more fun for people. It's weird how that works, but yeah, that's just something else, I guess.
Yeah. So just keeping your audience in mind, and if somebody's too confused at something, it might not be the puzzle itself. It might be the solver. So
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
to
I guess
keep in mind.
knowing the audience is a really good thing to
Yes.
think about.
Hmm.
I bet seasoned puzzle makers know that already, though.
Yep. What would you say to a person who doesn't think that they can make a puzzle of their own?
I understand that, but I just would say it's absolutely not true. Um, First of all, all you have to do to make a puzzle is like look at a puzzle that already exists and change something small, make it a little more your own, and then you've made a puzzle. Like you can't say like you can't steal puzzles, I mean, and just say that they're yours, but you can look at a puzzle that you maybe like or you think could be better and just like make a little change. Sometimes certain puzzles, if you're going to change like one clue in a crossword, that's not really your own puzzle, but you don't have to like start from scratch is what I'm saying. You don't have to do something nobody's ever done before. um, you can start with some guidance from other puzzles that you like. And it doesn't have to be anything huge either. Sometimes, like this is what got me in the beginning. I was trying to make, a full-size crossword as a kid. So what I should have probably done is make like a 5x5 or like, something very small and see if I could do it. And, for some people, the challenge of a bigger one can be really motivating, but you don't have to do that when you're starting out. Just make something small that has a solution and see what people think if you want to share it. It doesn't have to be good. Your first puzzle probably won't be great. But yeah, you can make a puzzle. It doesn't have to be, you're only going to get better. So it doesn't have to be amazing in the beginning. And if you write bad puzzles, that's a really good learning experience. So just get it out of the way early, and then you'll be on your way to writing really good puzzles.
That's great. Thank you so much. Was there anything else you'd like to add?
I'm really excited about EnigMarch this year. It's only a few weeks away at this point,
Yes.
and I've seen people talking about their ideas in various places, and I'm excited to do it again too. I didn't know if I was going to do it this year, but I don't think I'll be able to help it. So I'm really excited to see, to like follow everybody on the hashtags and in our Discord and see what happens this year. I'm very happy that we're doing it again and very excited for all the people who are joining in. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about it as well. Last year, I didn't really make many puzzles of my own, but I did solve some of the other ones that other people did. So I hope this year that I will be able to write for each of the prompts, make a little puzzle.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to see them.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I appreciate this talk, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this EnigMarch interview with EnigMarch founder, Sarah Willson. If you enjoyed, please go check out my interview with Errol Illumier, escape room enthusiast and puzzle maker. I also interviewed Brett Keener, that guy with the puzzles. Coming up next week, I will be talking to Bill Sunderland and Danny Siller from Escape This Podcast of Consume This Media Network. I'm excited for EnigMarch. Are you? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.